Hey guys, what's going on? This is NGS and welcome back to VEDA. VEDA stands for Vlog Every Day in April and we are on day 26. So I mentioned in yesterday's episode that the topic for today's is going to be games that I regret spending money on and really not putting too much time into. So for the sake of this video, I have omitted my entire digital library of video games because as I was getting ready to prepare this one, I noticed that a lot of the games that I've acquired through Steam, PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, the Nintendo 3DS eShop, I've noticed that I got a lot of them at a really cheap price. I've gotten some of them through bundles, and unfortunately I haven't gotten a chance to touch said games. So I really it wouldn't feel right for me to say that, hey, I got this game really cheap because it's a digital game and I haven't put any time into it. So for the sake of this one, I'm going to focus on my physical library. And while I have said in the past that I really haven't been selling too many of my games, I actually did do a pretty big sweep of games that I knew I was never, ever going to play again. I managed to get rid of them and I focused on having the games in my collection that either I have a lot of sentimental value for, or B, I had a feeling I would get back to playing them at some point, which in this case it doesn't seem to be. So I got a couple of games here ranging from PlayStation 2, PS3, Nintendo 3DS, DS, PSP, Xbox 360, and I believe the PlayStation Vita. So that's what we're going to be getting onto right now. So the first thing I want to start off with, which is probably no shocker to anybody if you've been a fan of my channel for the longest time, one of the biggest regrets that I ever spent in a video game, and that is Naruto Uzumaki Chronicles. I'm starting off with this one because this is probably the most negative review I've ever done on a video game on my channel. It had to be this game. Just looking back on it and a lot of the content that was stripped from this game in comparison to the Japanese version, it just honestly was not worth my time and effort I spent onto this game. And the funny thing is that I actually rented this from Blockbuster the week it came out, and I was playing it so much and I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm actually gonna go out and buy the game. I bought the game, spent $40 on it. I got next day delivery from Amazon, and my god, I finished up the rest of that game like 2 days after I received my copy. So this was one of my bigger disappointments, only because I spent so much money on it and there's really not too much content in this game considering they stripped a lot from the Japanese version. And keeping with the theme and mantra of Naruto games, the next one is probably one of the last Naruto games I actually bought. You guys remember after, I think, Naruto Storm 2 came out, the wave of Naruto games on a consistent basis really stopped for the most part. This is one of the last few ones that I did purchase, and that's Naruto Shippuden Legends Akatsuki Rising. I remember watching a lot of the promotional videos for this game, and I was so excited for it. I was just like, yes, a great Naruto game on PSP, and watch it fall out the PSP case. And I did not buy it the week it came out. I actually waited a couple of weeks, and I saw this on clearance at Target for I think $20 something. And yeah, the game was just very repetitive. You think it's cool at first, you can play as the Akatsuki ninja and everything, but it just was not worth my time and effort compared to all the other games for Naruto that were out on the market. As weird as that sounds, like I make it seem like all the other ones are better by default, but this was just not too fun whatsoever. Okay, now moving away from PlayStation related things, let's tackle some Xbox stuff. Oh boy, when Vin Diesel wanted to be in a video game, we got Wheelman. Now, I don't know what happened. I guess I succumbed to new console owner syndrome. When I first got my Xbox 360 back in 2008, I was really starved for games. I had Naruto Broken Bond and I had Call of Duty, but I wanted to play some other stuff. So I just went into Target and I just bought the first couple of games that looked good. I remember I picked up Prince of Persia 2009, I think, or 2008. The game I'm talking about, the cell shaded one. Prince of Persia, I think I picked up something else, and then I got Wheelman. And this game was really fun for the first hour or so when you just do the opening and there's the chase scene. And then from there, it like opens up and does like the whole open world freedom aspect. But I don't really remember this game hooking me too much. I remember it was fun at first being able to use like the slow-mo to jack cars and everything, but I didn't really put too much time and effort into this, especially considering I know I paid like probably 40 or so bucks for this. So that was very disappointing. I mean, great, Vin Diesel's in a video game, but it just didn't hook me for whatever reason. Maybe there are fans of this game out there. Who knows? Anyway, moving right along. Next one we have is kind of shocking for some people. This is Fear 2 Project Origin. Now, this is not a bad game by any means, don't get me wrong. I remember I picked this game up a couple of weeks after it came out. Target, for whatever reason, had it on sale for $25. And this was actually, coincidentally, this was the first mature M-rated game that I had gotten where the person didn't ID me. The funny thing is, once I got to the counter, and obviously, Target, you have to slide your card or they have to scan your ID or something. For whatever reason, it didn't work out with this. So I just ended up buying the game for $25. And it was cool. I played it for a couple of hours, never ended up completing it. But once I bought it on Steam and started playing it on there, I guess I just never went back to the game, not either version. I didn't go back to the PC or the 360 one. But the main reason why I keep this in my collection is not because I'm going to finish it on 360, because it has a really nice looking slipcase. As you can see, it's got some awesome stuff going on there. All right, and moving away from Xbox, let's talk about some Nintendo handheld stuff. First and foremost, we have a launch title for the Nintendo 3DS. I'm pretty sure this is on, I think, everybody's whoa list of video games, and that is Super Street Fighter 4 3D Edition. Like with Fear 2, it's not a bad game by any means. It's Street Fighter 4. You really can't screw it up. Street Fighter 4 is a good game. The problem that I'm having with this is that I am not a big fighting gamer, as you guys know. I mean, I like playing Mortal Kombat. I like dabbling in King of Fighters and other things here and there. But, I just succumbed to launch hype and I needed a game to play, and I bought this and it was really fun playing it, and the 3D was amazing. It was the Street Fighter experience in the palm of your hands. But when I realized that I really didn't play the game too much, in addition to the fact that I don't know if I ever did want to spend legitimate time learning a certain character, I'd rather play it on the PlayStation 3 than on the 3DS on the handheld. But it's a great game if you're a person who's a big Street Fighter fan and you want to play it on the go. I just feel like I spent too much money on it for something I didn't play amount of time. I remember playing a lot of online matches with a couple of friends, but that was basically the extent of it. Alrighty, and this one is, again, going to be kind of controversial. And I'm sure you guys are noticing these are all semi-recent gen, like past 10 years or so. I know a lot of people are asking, where's X game or Y game or Z game or something? Like, why don't you have this game or that game in your list? I'm very picky when it comes to buying certain video games, so I don't buy all, like, the new ones that come out. I'm very, I conserve my money, and I don't just go and buy something that I think might be good. I buy stuff that I think I know I'm going to like. Granted, there are a couple of misses here, but you get the gist. Nobody's perfect. Oh boy. DeMarcos, if you're watching, I had to put this on the list, man. Only because I love the concept of it. I love the crossover characters. I love the humor, but I just can't get behind this gameplay. And I'm, of course, talking about Project Cross Zone for the Nintendo 3DS. It's awesome. The story is just, there is no story, for lack of better words. It's just you're throwing all these characters in there and shit happens. But the gameplay is just so repetitive, so freaking repetitive, more than it needs to be. And I'm not talking about, it's the genre of the game and stuff. No, I'm just talking about every single battle is the same. There's like no strategy involved in it whatsoever. And there was so much potential for more out of this. And I know they announced the sequel, and that's well and good. It's coming to the West. They confirmed that much. But really? Like, you could have done so much more with this, Bomgo. A match made in heaven, yes. But I was expecting something on, something like past crossover games we've gotten. Something on the verge of Fire Emblem with that kind of strategy in there. Because there's the potential. But, hey, for whatever reason, it's just not for me. It's rather boring in my case. Okay, let's switch back to the PlayStation 3. Of course, wow, this really is a controversial video. I've made no qualms hiding the fact that I'm not the biggest Metal Gear fan out there, only because with Metal Gear Solid 4, I mentioned this in my collection videos, everybody said if you're getting a PS3, buy Metal Gear Solid 4, you're going to love it no matter what. Bought the game, played like 3 hours of it, and I just wasn't for me. Maybe I need to go back and play some of the older games, obviously, because it's a very story-driven franchise. And considering what's going on with Konami and Kojima, we're probably not going to see a good Metal Gear game ever again. So, yeah, Metal Gear Solid 4 is in this just because I got it for Christmas. It's one of my first PlayStation 3 games. And just me not putting the time and effort into it. But I'm pretty sure it's a great game nonetheless. I just got to go back and play through the other games whenever I have time for that. Next up, we have Final Fantasy 13 2. I know a lot of people are thinking, well, why don't you throw in 13 as well since you bought that day one? The thing is, with Final Fantasy 13, I kind of accepted the fact that I played the game, I liked it for a while, then I tried doing some other things and doing some missions, and I realized how monotonous it was. It took me a while, granted, but I realized that. But with the sequel, I had gotten this for like $20 a couple of months after it had come out. And I was thinking that, they've improved a lot of things, and it's probably a better sequel. I mean, look at this. They have color manuals, so obviously it must be good in an era where video game manuals are non-existent. But the more I played this game, the more I realized that, well, man, it's just really not that much better. Sure, if you're comparing it in the grand scheme of things of 13 to 13-2, it's a vastly superior game, but in the grand scheme of things, as RPGs go, it's just still mediocre, which is very depressing considering the amount of time, money, and effort that was put into this. Okay, so we've tackled all of those. Before we get on to the final four, I want to talk about my very first M-rated Xbox 360 game, and that is 99 Nights. The main reason why I bought this game and why it was my first was because growing up, my mom was very, very restrictive on what came into this house. She didn't want us playing certain games, watching certain movies, listening to certain artists, for good reasons, as every parent should be. But I really wanted to play, M-rated games. I just got my 360. I was a 15-year-old teenager. I really wanted this stuff. So I tried to ease my mom into getting me, mature rated games. So I digged high and low and I saw this game and I'm like, hey, it's a mature rated game, but if you look at the back, all it says is violence, and there's really no violence in this whatsoever. So this is my first M-rated game, which is more like a teen game, and it's a Muso game. So you just go in there and you're just killing hundreds and hundreds of enemies, and yeah, it had pretty cinematics and stuff, but after that, I really didn't spend too much time into this. I was just so excited that it was my first M-rated 360 game. And no color manual. And this game came out in, 2006? Something like that? Yeah, 2006, and they weren't even doing colored manuals back then. Wow. So, yeah, there's 99 Nights. And the final four is not necessarily, I don't want to say it's because I don't like the franchise at all, because that's not true, because I've heard a lot of great things about the series, and from the hours that I have played, I do enjoy it. I'm talking about Disgaea. My first Disgaea game, like first traditional actually putting time and effort into outside of just dumping it an hour later, was Disgaea 4. I was gifted to this in Christmas a couple years ago by my very good friend Dante86. And I played a couple hours, and granted, it took me a while to learn the combat system and the strategy behind it, but I really, really loved what I played. However, I got absorbed in other games, so I didn't spend the amount of time necessary to really, appreciate this game in its fullest. However, that didn't stop me from picking up this right here. This is Disgaea D2: A Brighter Darkness. Now, why I picked this up was that Best Buy in my area was having a clearance on a lot of their video games, and this was there for $15. And this is a day one edition, so it comes with the DLC, which is expired November 8th, 2013. I picked this up in 2014, and it comes with 2 discs, soundtrack, and art print. So for $15, getting this game was just phenomenal. I couldn't pass it up. And considering it's Disgaea, I know I'd enjoy it at some point. Next up, when I went to Texas, Jamal said, hey, if you really want to see where Disgaea really started, then pick this up. Well, not pick this up. He actually gave me his copy. And this is Disgaea DS. Apparently, this is a remake of the first game. And yeah, just to see where it all began. So I have this game that I haven't put a lot of time into because I've been trying to play Disgaea 4 since I started that game. I want to continue that game. And the final thing is my most recent gaming acquisition pickup. This is Disgaea 3 Absence of Detention on the PlayStation Vita. I picked this up at GameStop because this game is getting pretty hard to find nowadays, and online it's like 25 to 30 bucks. I got it pre-owned for 20 bucks. So I picked it up because I know I'm going to love the game and it's getting hard to find. So I'm like, all right, I need this. And it's for the Vita, so that makes it even more awesome. And apparently Disgaea 3 is an awesome game. So the Disgaea franchise, while I haven't put too much time into it, I do kind of feel some regret because I bought 3 games, owned 4 of them. Well, actually, no, I bought 2 games, owned 4 of them because 2 of them were a gift from Dante86. And yet I haven't put nowhere near the amount of time that I should. I think I own more Disgaea games, recent ones, than Dante86 does. And that's actually pretty funny. Like, because he's a big Disgaea fan. And I'm just like, hey, it's cool. Anyway, you guys, those were the games in my collection that I kind of have regret for buying and not putting a lot of time into. Granted, if we add in digital games, it's a lot more. And if we count like all the past games I had before, it'll accumulate. But those games are gone for a reason. I knew I was never going to play them again. But yeah, these are the ones that I have right now. I don't really see myself selling them because I've pretty much sold all the games that I've ever wanted to now. I'm very picky when it comes to buying new stuff. But yeah, comment down below games that you purchased for a pretty expensive tag or you got really cheap and you really wanted to play, but you just, for whatever reason, you can't. You put it off for other games. All right, let me know about that. I'm GS signing out for VEDA Day 26, and I will catch you guys tomorrow.